We are back again here at Gleaning and Gathering. And today I am with my co-host, Rebecca Heimlich.
Yes.
And today, Becca, what are we talking about?
Yeah, today we're talking about the daddy-daughter connection. So growing the daddy-daughter connection, what it means, and why it's important.
Wow. What an amazing topic. I wonder who picks these topics.
I don't know.
Because whoever it is.
Somebody brilliant, probably.
So you've been thinking about this a little bit.
I have, yeah.
And what does the daddy-daughter connection mean to you?
That's such a loaded question.
Well, how's it changed for you over the years?
Okay, that's a little easier to tackle. Yeah, it's changed a lot. I remember when I was little, I loved both of you, obviously. I loved my parents. But you were just super cool. Like, you were just the best thing ever. And then I remember, that changing a little bit. Not that you became any less cool, but I was just... Scared of you is not a good word, because you never gave me any reason to be scared. I was, like, so self-conscious. And I felt like I was going to disappoint you or make you upset. And the way that... I was a weird child. The way that I dealt with things...
No, you weren't a weird child.
I was a weird child. But the way that I dealt with things typically was I just acted like... sad or upset, or like I was just an Eeyore about everything, so everything was negative. But in reality, I was just super insecure. Anyway, so that was probably like early teens, honestly probably until like 16 or 17, and then it kind of switched back during college, well, after the 16th trip, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then and that was a turning point. Sorry, my spleen situation thing.
4 years ago.
Yeah, that was a big turning point as well. A lot of things changed in my brain from that. That just took a lot of like vulnerability and weakness. And so then I couldn't just do everything on my own. So I had to trust you to help me. Anyways, and then college came and I recognized that I hadn't invested time with you a lot. So then you would come visit me and we would have good conversations, and things started happening with guys and I didn't know whatever. So I would call you for advice, and I was like, oh, I can be 100% open with daddy and it's safe. And anyway, so then it kind of switched back and now I think we're great. So yeah, it definitely took some turns and twists. I think the most important thing about the daddy-daughter connection for me is stability. Like, the feeling that I can always call you. So something sounds weird in my car, I can always call you. I know you're going to help. You're going to, there's a safety net there. Even so, a few weeks ago, I terribly backed into somebody in a parking lot. I felt awful, and I knew that it was going to probably affect our insurance, and all these bad things could happen. The car, I didn't know if it was okay, but I didn't hesitate calling. I knew there was safety there, even if you were going to be a little bit upset.
Yeah,
that's not something that everybody has, and I think it's super duper important, and has a lot to do with how a daughter, how she thinks about herself and how she enters the world. Like, I would not be in the job that I am if I didn't have the confidence that in part that you gave me, that I can do some of these things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I think that, my perspective has changed a lot, obviously, having 5 daughters.
Oh, yeah.
Spread out from 24 down to 8.
Yeah. And completely different personalities, all of us.
Very different personalities.
Yeah.
Raising strong young ladies who are confident in, and not just confident in the things that are traditional female roles, but encouraging you to learn how to shoot a bow, or know how to change your own oil, or do things that, hopefully you never have to do in terms of change a flat tire or other things, but right, I want you to
can if we have to.
Exactly. I want you to have the confidence to know that you absolutely can.
Yeah.
and have the ability to. But I think as time has gone on and recognizing that in order to do that, it is going to take investing in each one of you emotionally and knowledge-wise to where you are confident in being able to stand on your own 2 feet and to do those things that you may need to do at some point. Again, I think the normative place of women is to be a wife and to be a keeper at home. Mm-hmm. I just want to say that. I fully believe that that is the place that God intended primarily. However, not every woman is going to be married.
Right.
Not every woman is going to be a keeper at home and a raiser of children. And so having tools to be able to enter the workplace or to do the things that you may need to do and having the confidence to do that, I want you absolutely to be able to do those things and not be handicapped by a lack of knowledge that would keep you from being able to do things that you otherwise could do if you had just had the training. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure. For sure. You've always raised us with a really good perspective on a woman's role. We've always highly respected Mama for raising us, and that is a high calling. You've always told us that is a high calling. So there are some that have indicated that, like, oh, that's just where a woman belongs. That's, that's not a good perspective. Like, without a wife and a mother, where would the kids be? The kids that in 20 years will be leading our country and our businesses and our churches and all the things. That is a huge role. But you are no less if you aren't married and working in a house. So me working as the HR director, that's no better than what Mama does, but it's no worse either. That's been a difficult balance for us to learn, but I think it's something that we're learning, and you've given us a good perspective on that. It's a tricky subject and a tricky thing to learn for sure.
It is. I think though that the thing that we started with Kaylin, and it wasn't really, I didn't know this was going to be a all the way through sort of thing, but we began planning a daddy-daughter trip when you turn 16. With Kaylin, it was going to Washington, D.C. Over the Memorial Day weekend, and we explored all the museums and did tons of things.
She's such a nerd.
It was so much fun, and she was asking questions. She had a whole list of questions that she wanted me to ask her, and so we had great conversations, and it was just a great time of connection. And then with you, your 16th trip was to Tennessee.
Yep. We went to Nashville. It was good. It was very different than Kaylin's. I guess I wasn't on Kaylin's.
It rained. It rained and rained.
It did rain. I remember that. Oh, goodness. Yeah, we went to the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
And we went shopping. We went out to eat a couple places. What else did we do?
Yeah, we had a picnic in the park.
We did, and we went to
we went to a mega church there.
I remember that. That was cool. Yeah. I loved that. Yeah.
Yeah, with Kaylin on Sunday, we went to the National Cathedral. Mm-hmm. We had some great experiences.
Yeah.
And how did that trip, at least for you, how did that trip, my goal with it was to make it kind of a rite of passage trip. This is, again, a trip where you're transitioning from being a little girl, and now you're headed towards adulthood, and to help cultivate and invest in that daddy-daughter connection. But what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was weird. I think because I went through the stage where I was a lot closer to Mama, I remember right before going on the trip, I think I told Mama. I might have just told myself, I don't know, like, I wish you were going on this trip instead. Like, I just didn't want to go. Because I knew, like, I'm bad at one-on-one in general, but I knew that you would be asking questions and expecting me to talk, and I was like, I just don't want to. I'm just not, whatever. Anyway. But it was so good. It was awkward at times, which I made it that way. So yeah, 16 is just such an interesting age. I think it's super important. But that trip, I was just super selfish. I think, well, Kaylin's a different breed, but I think all of us kind of recognize now how selfish we were on the trips. So I didn't talk as much as I should have, probably, and I didn't do as much as I wish I had done. Like, if we went on that trip now, I would be so open, and we would have such good conversations and so much fun. But I was just so stressed about, what is everybody thinking of me? How do I look? How do I appear? That's ridiculous. But you had the wisdom to know this is an important age. And yeah, you just kept showing up. So even though I didn't make the most of that trip, it reminded me that you care. So all the money you spent, all the time you spent, all the effort and energy and, you know, asking the questions, even though I didn't want to answer them. And that was not easy, probably for you, but it was super valuable. And now looking back, I can see the care and the intention. Yeah, so in the moment, it was just weird. Because I didn't recognize that this is such a valuable daddy-daughter time. It was just awkward. I didn't like it. But I wouldn't go back, you know, and undo it because it was super important.
Well, I think that that's part of that transition. Again, the stages of parenting, you know, when you're 0 to 5, it's just, you do this because I told you to. Then there's those training years where you're learning, not like this, you know, it's up until about 12, 13 years old. And then there's those years where you're coaching as a parent. And so you're on the sidelines, but sometimes you're calling the child over the sidelines and saying, you know, hey, sit down on the bench. Let's talk about this. And so 16's right there in the middle of that. And then you reach those friendship years where now as an adult, the relationship is not just parent-child, but it's peer. And so in that middle there, again, where that trip took place, there is a transition that's beginning, but it's not complete yet.
Right. And
so at 16, you're still at home. You're still, you know, in school. You're still obeying the family rules, and you know, this is what's required of you. But what I was endeavoring to do with each one of you is to lay the groundwork for this is what's coming. This is what's next. And I want to build the relationship and invest in that relationship in such a way that, again, when we've moved beyond those years where you are going to do only what I tell you you're going to do because I told you so, that there's a relationship there that you value, that you want to continue to have a connection. Like, I recognize now that with you and with Kaylin, there's nothing that I can do now to make you connect with me. There's nothing. Like, you're able to move on. And that's what I see from a number of kids. Like, their dad was out golfing and doing all those things that he wanted to do when his kids were younger, and there was nothing they could do about that. But now that the tables have turned,
now it's my turn. Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Yeah. And it's so sad. Yeah. I see, especially college age kids, like their parents will bring them to college and care and want to be a part and want to whatever.
And they want nothing of it.
And the kids are like, Dad, just go away. That's so sad. That's so sad on both sides. Because the child is missing out on this beautiful connection and this safety net that, like, all the wisdom and all the, you know, whatever. And the dad is missing out on this beautiful potential friendship. But it's fault on both sides, for sure.
If he didn't cultivate that earlier, it's too late by the time it's 18 and, hey, I really want to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're off to the races. They're headed places. So again, one of the things that I've endeavored to do, not that I've done it perfectly, but while you guys have been away at college, you, Kaylin, try to write regularly, to sit down, take time each week to write, to send Marco Polos, to do what I can to, you know, again, continue that connection. But I think that, at least from my perspective, that daddy-daughter connection is important to me because I know that both of you are busy. I know that both of you have got lots of things that you're working on doing. but I value that relationship in a way that I want to invest and to continue to invest in your lives in an ongoing way because I care, not because I'm hoping to get something back out of that. And I'm thankful for it. And I'm thankful for the time that we were able to spend as a family growing up.
Right.
And the kinds of things that, again, albeit imperfectly, that I was able to do, like that 16th trip, but other trips as well, other times together as well, that helped me to build the foundation of that relationship. Yeah. Like, I know we were the weird family always at convention. Like,
because all of us were there.
Yeah. All the rest of your peers were doing their things together. And here we are, as a family doing our family thing. And I know that had to be awkward. And I know that probably there were times where it was like, it would have been easier on you guys for us not to be together so completely as a family. And yet, looking back, I'm thankful that we were connected in that way.
Yeah.
And that we made time for those kinds of connections.
Yeah.
And I think that many parents they're conflicted because the primary earning years are during those years when you're raising your kids. And so to be able to be flexible enough to be present with your kids at events and at things that they're doing means that you're going to be missing time at work. And so for me, I valued flexibility because I wanted connection.
Yeah. And you always had, well, most of the time, like the jobs that you had. I mean, we were missionaries on our own for a while, and then with the EFM, and so there was that flexibility that a normal 9-to-5 job doesn't have.
Right.
But yeah, you prioritize that. Yeah, I sympathize with families that do work 9-to-5s. I mean, like, I just started a couple months ago my first official 9-to-5, and I'm like, wait, I only get this many days, like, actually off, but I have this trip and this trip and this trip, and I'm like, wait, Becca, you've been so spoiled by your dad getting to just up and go. You can take your work with you, and yeah, so it's tricky for people with that kind of job. But I do think there are still ways that you can be intentional, for sure. So leave work at work and sacrifice some of the things that you find fun. Some of the evenings with your friends. Many of the evenings with your friends, actually. Make your kids a priority, because that's going to be something that you're really going to miss.
Yeah.
In 15, 20 years.
What are some of the earliest or most meaningful memories that you can think of us together?
Well, I remember we used to do like dates. So I remember going to Sam's Club and it was a big deal if we got our own pretzel and stuff like that. So whenever we would go, I think me and Kaylin used to do this with you and Mama separately. Like, so one of us would go with you, one of us would go with Mama. And Mama probably took Sarah with her. Anyway, I just remember this special, like, I got my own ice cream and I got my own pretzel, Because
normally if we go as a family, like, you get one and split it.
Right, yeah. Like,
8 ways.
If we were going to Sam's Club, then not 8 ways. It was more like 5 ways when we actually did that.
That's true. Less kids at that point.
Right, yeah. Yeah, anyway, so those times were special. I really don't remember, like, doing much except riding on the cart while you got all the groceries. That was always fun. Yeah, watching movies too was always fun with you, and playing games. Those were like special occasions that we would get to do that. And then doing recordings like this.
Yes.
You would interview us.
I would.
Yeah.
I remember one of those first interviews I had with you. I asked you what you wanted to be when you grew up, and you said, I want to be a princess.
And I am a princess.
So cute. But I really think, daughters often internalize how their dads treat them.
Yeah.
And that becomes the template for how they think they are going to be treated in the future. Yep. And every one of you girls, I wanted you to have a high view of yourself and your worth, your value as a lady, as a princess, and to have that kind of safety, grounding values to where it wasn't a matter that you ever wondered, could I do this? Mm-hmm. It was just, did I want to do this? Mm-hmm. But that you knew you had us behind you, and that you absolutely could make it through algebra.
No. Yeah.
You absolutely could make it through whatever it is that you were facing, because you're strong, you're smart. You can do it.
I didn't always feel that kind of support, but it did grow me. We both know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I still remember this moment.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell it.
So one time we were on spring break in Michigan, and there was a ping pong table in the house that we were staying in. We were here for a week, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. So we had been playing like all week. I would play daddy, and I think I lost basically every game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you said to me, I'm going to
beat you someday.
I'm going to beat you someday.
And you said, Becca, you're never going to beat me.
Yes, with that gleam in my eye.
And I was so mad. I was like, okay, I will beat you. Yeah, a little tidbit about me. If you tell me that I can't do something, and if you actually tell me that you believe it, because people just joke around like, oh, Becca, I bet you can't do whatever. No, if you actually believe that I can't do this, I will do all that is in my power to prove you wrong.
And you did.
I did. It took me several months.
Yeah.
And we played a game one time and I beat you.
You did.
And after that, it was this relief. And I didn't have to work at ping pong anymore because I had beat daddy. So
you had reached the pinnacle.
Yeah. Yeah. So there were times that you bettered me in the challenge.
Yeah. Well, I think there's more than one way to motivate someone, and telling them that they are never going to be able to do something is one of those. See?
Another tidbit is that we were both very competitive.
Yes.
So there is that. That was said in the heat of the competition.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I think that there's a lot that could be said about the daddy-daughter connection. Mm-hmm. I'm thankful for the connection that I have with you and with every one of my daughters. And I think that continuing to have things that each of us do together, those kinds of shared rituals, it's one of the ways that I think we can continue to keep that connection and to develop that connection. And I know that it's changing and it will change. And even though I haven't come to this point yet, that day that I have to give each of you away in marriage, if that's God's plan for your life, is one that actually I was just talking about this with another daughter this past week, and she said, Daddy, are you dreading us getting married? And I said, no, I'm not dreading it. But I think that for me, it's one of those moments that is going to be a little bit like dropping Kaylin off at college. Mm-hmm. It's a life-changing moment, but it's not a funeral. It's not final. It's not forever, but it feels like forever in that moment. Yeah. There's a sense of loss that comes with that. That day that we dropped her off in Hope Sound and left her over 1,000 miles from home and
it was rough.
Drove back. It was one of the most difficult days that I've ever had. I did not realize how difficult it would be, but her world got bigger and things were fine. She came back home and it's going to be that same sort of way when you guys get married.
And because we have the relationship that we do, it's actually not going to be a goodbye.
No.
Because, there are some that oh, I'm finally married. I can get away from my parents. But that's not going to be the way it is. Yeah, with us.
So I think that I am hopeful that as God continues to lead you guys and wherever your lives end up or develop, that connection will continue. It's going to change over time because it has to and it needs to. But I hope that we've given you roots and given you wings. That's the two things that we hope that we can give you, is a place that you can call home, a place to come back to, a place that you can say, this is where I am from, but also the confidence to be able to go to Iceland and to live life and fly as far and as high as God wants you to, knowing that there is a solid foundation underneath that.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, thanks for taking time to talk.
Yeah. Thank you.
For Gleaning and Gathering. God bless.